Hi, everybody. So I'm Traci Bakenhaster. I own Adulting University. And so I'm taking a little different approach to this because I'm going through a lessons learned aspect because I did a lot of the things that we just talked about backwards when I first started my business. Because when I first started, it was like, oh, you have to have all the things and do all the things. And I didn't start in a printable aspect. I didn't start in a side hustle. I actually lost my job due to COVID. And so I was like, well, this business I've been wanting to start, let's just go all in. So I went all in and I learned a lot in a very short amount of time. And so my business is more directed towards the coaching and teaching aspects. I do have downloads and digitals and all that, but I don't do curriculum and academics. I focus more on like career life skills and college readiness. So my business is a little bit different. However, the stuff is all the same, right? Everything we talked about that Amelia talked about is really valuable and going step by step through that process and like taking the time. But I really wanted to kind of walk you guys through some of the hard lessons I learned that I wanted to just pass on of don't do what I did kind of situation if you're wanting to start a side hustle or start a business. Because if you do some of these things, it can get you in a lot of trouble. And I don't want that for you because I know what that's like firsthand. So, number one, and this one was a hard one, and I wish more than anything I would have done this right off the bat, is know who are you helping. I've always been a helper by nature. I am somebody that loves to help people. I go all in when I help people. I'm a bit of a perfectionist sometimes. And so I was like, well, I can't just niche down. Like, I can't just focus on one group. I want to help everybody. And that's not realistic because when you help everybody, you actually end up helping nobody. And so for years, I've struggled getting traction in my business because I wasn't talking to a specific person. I was talking to everybody. And so it was general and covered all this stuff. So finding who is your audience, like who is that person you're talking to. And I remember doing activities when I was in my undergraduate for business on like, oh, name your person, all this stuff. And I thought it was so silly to be like, why would I do this? Because I'm not talking to just Rebecca, I'm talking to all these other people. And it is so important to really lay out who is that person. And so initially it was, for me, was a very broad audience. It was, oh, parents with teenagers. Anybody that has a teenager, I can help you. And can I help everybody with a teenager? Most likely. But does everybody with a teenager want to work with me or want my help? No. And so that is the piece of really helping and niching down to that really specific audience. And so I've niched down all the way down to where now I focus on, I still work with teens, but it's homeschool teens. And my audience I talk to now is mompreneurs. So homeschool moms that have side hustles, that have businesses, that want to invest in their teens' future and help set them up with life skills, career readiness, and all of that. And so that has helped me really hone in my messaging. So when we talk about the social media and your website and all that stuff, that's who you're talking to in those platforms is your audience. And that is why it's so important to find that person. So that was one area that I really, really wish I would have known. So think about the problems that you're passionate about solving for who. Who are those people? Is it homeschool moms? Is it business owners? Is it teenagers? Is it elementary school kids? Who is it that you are really helping? The next lesson that I really is where to focus your efforts. So I used to really believe that like that niching down was saying no to opportunities, but it's really saying yes to the right ones. So focusing on those specific things of what is that lesson? What is that thing, that pain point that your specific audience is really working through and understanding? Next is keep it simple. Start small and grow. And again, big mistake that I made in the beginning because I am a big picture person. I can see like what's possible. I can see the end result. I can see the big thing that I want to give students or what I want to give clients. So I go all in and build out the whole shebang. I'm also a bit of a tech nerd. So I love systems. And so I was like, man, I got to have all of it. I've got to have the automations up. I have to have the email marketing. I have to have all these things set up before I can start a business and before I can get customers. And that's not true. And that was a lot of money spent with no money coming in. So being very, very intentional on knowing, start small. I actually talked to a guy the other day about a business. He's like, really, all you need is a way to take payments and a way to talk to people to get started, right? If you're doing downloads and obviously a product that you're selling, but if you're doing coaching or something like that, you just need to be able to reach people through social media, messages, whatever it looks like, and have a way for them to pay you. But you don't need the full thing right off the bat. Because as Amelia talked about, that's expenses, right? It costs money to have a website. It costs money to do social media ads and have an email marketing system and all these things. And so start small and then scale from there. Focus on one idea, one product, or one service and one marketing channel to start, because otherwise you're going to get overwhelmed if you feel like I have to be on all the platforms, I have to be on all the things. Because here's what happens, and we all know this, right? We all know what happens if we diversify ourselves and we put our efforts to 10 different things instead of our effort on one thing. We can't give 100% to all of it. So if we're on 5 different social media channels and we're trying to manage all of it and post consistently and talk to the right person, we're going to be doing nothing but social media in order to do it right. And we won't be able to do anything else. So focusing on one step at a time. What is the one thing I want to sell? Go all in on selling that thing and find the one platform where your audience lives and go all in on that platform. Then as that grows and you get success there, then you can start to scale and build from that area. But again, just knowing of like that challenge of starting small and then growing from there. Focusing on one thing. And so this is something else I really struggle with in the beginning, because I have a lot of experience. I have a lot of knowledge. I've worked in industry for a very long time. So I had all these different things, and I still have all these different things that I could sell, that I could focus on. But even now, 5 years into my business, I'm actually going backwards, and I'm focusing now on one thing. I am focusing on one program. I might have like a funnel. So I might say, hey, here's a freebie that's going to then lead into this paid item. But I'm not saying, hey, you could do coaching with me. You could buy this course for me. You can do this for me. And because what's going to happen is when we have all these different products, we confuse our audience. And so focusing in on one specific thing that feels doable to you, right? Mastering one skill, pick one thing and do it really, really well. Make sure it's a valid, test that out before you go all in. And then once you feel like it's good, it's doable, then you can scale and grow it from there. Again, cannot emphasize enough to really just focusing in on one thing, put all your effort into one area and test it first. I wish I would have done that. There's so many programs that I've launched and didn't work out over the years because I was like, well, I know this is needed, so let me just put it out there. And even though, yes, it was a need, I didn't market it the right way. And so it didn't sell. And so I put all this effort into building something that didn't go anywhere because it wasn't what people wanted. And so I think that's important too, to really test that one item out before you scale anything else. The other lesson that I really wish I would have learned when it came to money, and I am a financial coach. I literally teach teenagers about money. I have an entrepreneurship course. I teach on entrepreneurship and money, and yet I still made this mistake of spending way too much in the investment trap, especially in the beginning. It was all the shiny things, right? It was the squirrel syndrome and like, oh, this is shiny. Oh, I need this because I don't know this about business. And I said yes to everything. And I bought this course and I bought that download and I bought this and that. Did I use everything? Absolutely not. Was everything valid for me? Absolutely not, right? In coaching programs, I've spent thousands of dollars over the years on programs and courses and all the things. And looking back at those first couple of years of business, I'm like, oh my gosh, the amount of money I could have saved by not doing that would have been massive, like massive difference on where I'm at now financially in my business, because I thought that's what I needed, because that's what everybody says. Well, you need a business coach. So yeah, you need to find $500 a month to hire a business coach, even if you're not making any money, because they're going to get you money. That's not true. Right? You have to start first and start to make money. And then you look for the investments that are going to actually be a good return on your investment. I've invested in a lot of things that did nothing for me, did nothing for my business, including several coaches that literally didn't do a thing for me. And I wasted money on it because I didn't do my research, because I didn't really know what I was getting into. And so just being very intentional, right? Start lean, minimal costs, and then test ideas, grow. As your business gets bigger and bigger and you have more consistent income, yes, it is a good idea to start to invest in professional development, to invest in coaching, to invest in these other things that are going to help you grow, just make sure it's going to give you the return you need. There's a lot of wonderful programs out there. There's a lot of really terrible programs out there. And so really do your homework and make sure if this is not serving me, if this is not going to get me to the next level of income, then it's not worth my time or my money. So being very cautious of that, because I wish I would have done that in the beginning. And unfortunately, again, 5 years later, I'm learning that lesson now in the last probably 2 years, and really trying to scale back and lean everything and get out of things that I had agreed to that were not serving me. So beware of the shiny syndrome that happens in entrepreneurship. And then finally, the last piece for this on like what to do in business is being consistent. I was not consistent at first. I was all over the place. I was on social great for like a week and then nothing. Consistency is key, especially depending on who your market is, right? As somebody who serves homeschool families, if I'm not consistent, homeschool families are going to be like, but is she legit? Is she real? Is she still going to be here? Right? You get those questioning aspects that happen. And so I need to be consistent. We need to be consistent. So if you have that one platform you're on, consistently show up on that platform. Consistently do your blog, consistently do a podcast. That's why it's so important not to do all the things at once, because the consistency is going to fall away. You're going to forget to record the podcast. You're going to forget to put the blog post or the newsletter out there because you're trying to do it all at one time before you're able to hire help. So focus on one thing, grow it, be consistent with it, then add something else, and just keep going through that process, right? Consistency really does build trust, and it builds a lot of momentum. One of my biggest mentors in the marketing and visibility space, her name's Traci Connor. She's amazing. I love her to death. And she talks about this all the time. She's like, consistency is key. And I will tell you, I've seen it firsthand. I've had months where I didn't do much on social media, and then all of a sudden I started getting consistent, and I was consistent for like 4 or 5 months straight. And all of a sudden people were messaging me, people were reaching out to me, people were recommending me. That had never happened before. And it took me being consistent and showing up even when I didn't feel like it, even when I felt like this isn't doing anything, to really make that happen. So again, these are some of the lessons that I've learned as an entrepreneur in the business world, that I really, really, really encourage people that are looking at going into the space or scaling a business, that you really focus on this area. The reality is most small businesses fail within the first year because they try to do all the things, spend all the money, and they end up broke and they end up in a bad place. And I will be honest, I mean, thank goodness I have a full-time job that has helped fund a lot of the things, which I didn't want to have and I didn't have right away. But not everybody has that luxury. So being very intentional up front with what you can and can't do, and knowing where to best invest your time, your money, your efforts, and really being intentional. That was actually my word of the year last year, and I'm carrying it over into this year as well, is that intention of everything I do, every decision I make, making sure it has intention behind it. What's the intention behind this? Why am I doing this? And taking that mentality into a business model is really going to help you succeed. So again, I'm happy to reach out, or feel free to reach out to me if you have questions. I love to talk about business stuff. I love to share resources and other things that I have connected with and learned. Like I said, I'm a bit of a tech nerd, so I have plenty of things. If you are at that point where you're ready for some of that stuff, would love to talk to you. But I do want to share a little bit too about an opportunity, because again, my audience is serving homeschool moms that have businesses and side hustles. So what we do though, is we actually take a load off of your plate with your teenager. So, as homeschool moms, we carry a lot on our shoulders. We want the best for our kids, but sometimes it really feels like we're spinning all the plates. We're teaching, guiding, planning, worrying if they're, if we're doing enough to prepare them for life after high school. I've been there. I know how heavy that weight can feel. And the truth is, as much as we pour into our teens, there are some things they need to learn from others in a safe, supportive environment where they can grow into who they're meant to be, right? And especially for moms, sometimes it's like, yes, please take some of this off my plate. Imagine not having to do it all. Imagine knowing your teen is learning the life skills that are going to make them confident and capable without you having to stress about planning every step. Think about that peace of mind you would feel knowing with that day that your student steps onto that college campus or into their first real job after high school or into that apprenticeship or internship or whatever it is, that they're going to be okay, that you know that, man, they've got this. Like, we are going to be okay. You know, your team's now thriving. They're confident in their abilities. They're confident in what happens next after high school. I know a lot of students these days, especially teenagers in this generation, they're afraid of what life looks like after they leave high school, because they see all this stuff on social media and on the news and all these places, and they see the tragedy and they see the difficulties we adults are going through and facing when it comes to finances and jobs and all this stuff. And they're like, I don't want to go into that. I don't want to be an adult. I don't want to grow up, because they're scared of what's going to happen and what that looks like, and if they're really ready for that. So I created a program called Level Up Your Life. We have a pilot program for this starting here in the spring, and it is amazing. I'm so excited about this program. I've seen way too many teens struggle to figure life out on their own, and too many moms feel like they failed because they couldn't do it all. This program isn't just about skills. It's about giving you and your teen the gift of confidence, connection, and a clear path forward. So we have enrollment is open now. We start in March, so very, very close, right around the corner. So we just want to make sure to like give your teen the tools and the fun and a community that will help them thrive and give you the freedom to just breathe a little easier as a mama, right? And just kind of giving you a space and knowing they're going to be okay. You take care of the academics, we'll take care of everything else. And so if you're ready to join us, you want to learn a little bit more, here's the website to go to. It's adulting-university.com/levelupspring. It is a phenomenal program, $27 a month for a fully gamified life skills program, student clubs, hangouts, all the things. So definitely would love to have you all a part of that. But otherwise, again, feel free to reach out with questions. I love serving families in this space. I love talking about entrepreneurship, and would love to share more about our co-op. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you for sharing that, Traci. I really appreciated hearing a perspective of kind of like, I've done this, I've been here, and this is what I would avoid. I really do agree with you on finding the right coach for where you're at in your business. And we did have some questions about what do you look for? How do you, and so some of the questions that I would ask is, do they offer services for you specifically? So is their niche you? Because that is a really important aspect of finding the right person for you. And then, do they have successful clients who can offer testimonials? That's another big one. If they're willing to say, yeah, go ahead and contact so-and-so, or here's their testimonial. And that's something that's super easy for them to just send you those. You know that they are confident in their results. If it's a course, is it affordably priced for where you're at in your business? So whether that is a $10 course, a $100 course, or $1,000 course, is that something that you have to pause and think about and mull over? You may not be ready for investing in that yet. If it's something where you're like, oh yeah, I have $10, $50, I can do that, then you are ready to be able to invest that in your business. But if it's something that you're like, ooh, pause. Really think about that before you make that investment. And what are you getting for that price? And is there accountability and follow-up? Because everybody needs accountability and follow-up. And if they're not offering that, where are you going to be getting that? Is that going to be a group of friends that's going to be doing the course together? You need to have that if you're going to get the most out of that course.
Yep. I would agree. And I even add to like knowing your own learning style. Cause I think we talk about this in Adulting University with our teens that we work with, because that's the foundation of everything we do. We have to know how that teenager learns in order to get across to them the best way. And it goes the same way for us as adults. And when it comes to business coaching, if you're somebody that, hey, I can self-pace this all day long, I want something I can just go online and do it on my own time, or I want one-on-one, like for me, even as a coaching in a one-on-one space, I'm like, I want somebody to teach me how to do it, show me how to do it, and then let me go do it. Like that is how I work. Not everybody's like that. Some people like, do it for me. Some people are like, hey, I need the baby steps and I don't know what to do and I need more time here. So know how you learn and know kind of that communication style that you have, because that's going to be important on knowing if that coach is a good fit for you or not too.